according to the IMF, fund to revise target upwards. On the front page is IMF Mission Chief for Ghana, Stefan Rode. Police arrest 16 for invading UTV. We'll be following this particular situation with the police closely. Two analysts urge government to be prudent, disciplined, seek public interest over other considerations. Dr. Atabafo urges judges.
Let me take you to the Chronicle. Invasion of UTV. Police swoop on hooligans. 16 arrested following complaint lodged by the Ministry of Information. The Media Commission, Print Park, GJ are condemning that attack. Also on the front page this morning, Togbi Afede advises Ghanaians to always consider the national interest. Also, Baumia celebrates 60th birthday with Kumasi Children's Home.
Front page of the Herald newspaper, Kenofurata wants collapsing cocoa board rescued, kicking out Amin Adam. NPP thugs storm UTV to attack A+ on live program. How NPP MP others grabbed boss's 18 iPhone Pro Max. $139 million airport land going to Akufo-Addo's family friend for $85 million. That's the Herald's reportage on that matter.
The Ghanaian Times says IMF bailout $600 million second tranche to hit BOG's account in November after reaching staff level agreement. Also, we're told Volta Regional Minister deplores 3.3 million Ghana Cedi Afajato South Assembly renovation. Also, set up breast cancer fund to increase survival rate, according to Dr. Aite.
The front page of the Republic Press, Jaya International School's Jikunu Nelson wins 2023 edition of the Literacy Challenge. Jikunu Nelson. Jikunu Nelson. 62% of primary 2 students struggle with reading skills.
Yeah, 62%.
Okay, I've not finished though. GRA backs 15 million Ghana cedis from betting. And Nana makes strong case as he touts bold steps in corruption fight.
Let me take you to the final newspaper. The big story says road crashes kill 6,152 children. Experts demand mandatory use of child restraint and seat belts. That's a very, very troubling story. Also, we are told this morning that Ghana external creditors close to MOU and $600 million IMF money also coming, according to Oforiata this morning. And then 52% of females in senior high schools assaulted sexually in 2 years. This is a very troubling
Some of the figures, the accident figure, the sexual assault figure, and the reading figure, they are serious issues that need further deliberation.
On the front page of the Publisher is the UTV attack, IMF's review on the front page, and Kwame Jumo Ajimai writes, the Alan Cash puzzle.
Let me take you to the Ghanaian Observer. The big story says, endorse me for 2024 election. Baumia appeals to MPP delegates. Also, massive boost for exports as EU supports Ghana to build 224 modern housing units for farmers. And then also, Jospon Group executives win big at 2023 Ghana CEO Vision Awards.
I'll take you finally to the front page of the BNFT. IMF urges swift debt agreement, economy on the rise, according to the finance minister. EcoBank appoints its top risk manager as acting CEO. There's a photo of Miss Joanna Mensah, acting MD, on the front page of the paper.
And let me take you to the new Publisher and then the Inquisitor. Finally, the UTV story makes the front page of the new Publisher. It says UTV under night attack, police grab 16 invaders, among some other things. Also, Yoko staff train at London Cybercrime Academy. And then Efutu is the future. Come, live, invest, and explore. This is coming in from Honorable Apenyo Marking. And then Amnesty International awards Francis. So if you go to the Inquisitor, the big story says implosion at toll as workers are swerved over charity fund. Also, NMC unhappy with attack on UTV and some other stories on the front page.
Let's go online. CitiNewsroom.com. Cecilia Dapa denies using aliases for real estate business. She's also calling for expedited trial on her account freeze and cash seizure. In other stories, E.T. Mensah's remains arrive in Ghana tomorrow, October the 10th. Also in the news, there's a claim and a counterclaim over the antiretroviral and the failure to clear at the port. So the minority is telling the Ministry of Health to apologize for failing to clear antiretroviral drugs from the ports. But the Ministry of Health denies tax waiver claims and assures of clearance by October 13. Then NMC says we're working with police to address attack on UTV. Be patient, we will pay your arrears, NSS assures personnel. And then Ghana condemns attack on Israel by Hamas militants. Now, if you go to other local websites, I'll go to Peace FM's website this morning because of the story there. GJ waits in after barbaric attack on UTV. A couple more stories. Press freedom under attack. NDC condemns MPP's violent attack on studios of UTV. And then government also condemns attack on UTV, urges police to quicken investigation. So all of this on Peace FM's website. They also have a raft of Kennedy Jepong stories from his interview last week. For example, he says, I will never support any MP again. He also says, I believe in pragmatism and not theory. And then this story that we read in the 6 a.m. news also finds its way here. Anglican bishop calls for fairness in justice delivery at 66th legal year opening service. You should hear the sermon, very forthright. My joy online goes to economy. Government plans comprehensive redesign of e-levy. And then a couple more stories. Ghana card issuance to newborn babies to begin in November. And then Toby Apede says, next government must take review of our constitution seriously. And then Professor Frimpong Boateng writes, MPP, how did we get here? He's referring to some of the latest issues affecting the party. Internationally, all attention is on Israel. Israel pounds Gaza, battles Hamas raiders after bloody incursion. That's Reuters' lead story. US to send military ships and aircraft closer to Israel. So it's like our world leaders, they don't want peace. So after Ukraine, Russia, we haven't finished. Now they've moved to Middle East. Meanwhile, on the economy side, attack on Israel boosts appeal of gold and other safe haven assets. So that's the economic angle to the war. In fact, if you, so you see, sometimes when war comes, people benefit. If you go to Bloomberg, they are even saying that oil, over 1,100 dead as oil jumps on fear of wider war. So oil prices have also gone up. So we are going to pay more for petrol because some people are bombing other people.
So the next pricing window, we should expect some movement.
Yes, and then US sends warships and aid in show of force as Israel strikes back. So gold is getting more higher price. Oil is also going to go higher because of the bombings they are doing. Bro, we have to do prayer for the world. Oh. All right, where are we starting from this morning?
The police swooping on hooligans.
All right.
The Chronicle has that story on the front page, but details on page 3.
Okay.
And Jennifer Ambole writing says the police have arrested 16 hooligans who allegedly invaded the studios of the United Television UTV in Accra last Saturday night and disrupted a live program. Now, the decision followed a complaint lodged by the Ministry of Information against those who took part in the dastardly act. And we all know that Miss G was apparently doing her program, and then some people invaded the studio complaining about A+, and all kinds of things were said. Now, the GJA has issued a statement condemning the development. So, for instance, the story says the Ghana Journalists Association, which has also condemned the attack, called on government, non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, diplomatic community, international agencies, and well-meaning Ghanaians and people of good conscience to roundly condemn this barbaric act. Again, the Ministry of Information also, after making the report to the police, has also condemned the incident in no uncertain terms, saying under no circumstances should any unauthorized entry into a media organization protect as the media content or media content being aired or interference with the media work be entertained. And then Primpag, which is the private people and the newspapers they produce, they have also issued a statement condemning.
Meanwhile, the GJA statement
National Media Commission also has condemned.
Yes, media. So Primpag, NMC, and GJA. But the GJA statement say they are disappointed with the information minister's wobbling condemnation of the attack. So I'll read that angle for you. This is my Joy Online's version. The GJA has expressed its utmost disappointment in a press statement issued by the Information Minister, Kojo Ponkroma, on the invasion of UTV by alleged MPP members and sympathizers. According to the association, the statement was wobbly and paled in the face of an earlier statement issued by the minister when Dabon FM was attacked by an NDC member. On Saturday, some men believed to be affiliated with the MPP stormed the premise of UTV and temporarily disrupted the United Showbiz program. Now, according to the GJ, they then quote the second paragraph of the press statement where the minister, in their view, tries to justify the barbaric attack by holding that the hooligans entered UTV allegedly without authorization, when he was the very person who reported to and called in the police in the 4th paragraph. So they go through a lot of things to say. We'll read this later on in the program. So that's the first big story. On Friday, the other story was that the IMF team held a press briefing with the finance minister and the BOG governor.
On the front page
the
of
highlights
the graphic, the International Monetary Fund has given thumbs up to the country's recovery, saying growth this year has proved more resilient than initially anticipated. Quote, although the challenges are not going to be solved overnight and there is still a lot of work ahead, what makes us very optimistic is that these actions are already generating positive results, the IMF Ghana Mission Chief Stefan Rode said. He was speaking at a press briefing last Friday after the IMF successfully conducted its first review of how the country was performing to targets under the Extended Credit Facility program.
What impressed me most at the press conference was the quality of questions Ghanaian journalists asked. When you listen to, there were about 10 questions asked. Every question was factual. There were follow-up questions. The journalists were working together. It was amazing. I'm not sure of the answers given though, but in terms of the questions asked, all over.
I mean, if
it was amazing. They did their homework well. They asked Ken a lot of questions. They asked Stefan Rode. They asked the governor. And when they sort of tried to wriggle away from the answer, another person will come and ask the same question. It was just fascinating. Maybe you should go on Facebook and watch I think it was an hour and a half episode. Very good
Our
job.
economic journalists,
Solid work. Let's come to the Times.
While we are going for more money, we are begging for more money. The people in the Volta regions, it looks like we are doing our own thing.
What's happening
now?
there?
Page 13 of the Ghanaian Times says Volta Regional Minister deploys 3.3 million Ghana cedi Afadjato South Assembly renovation. Now, the story is by Lawrence Makwe in Gulukwati, and he says that the Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha, has expressed disgust over the additional 3.3 million Ghana cedis spent to renovate the newly constructed office complex for the Afadjato South District Assembly due to shoddy work on the project. Now, the renovation was occasioned by some structural defects in the building detected by the assembly after the contractor handed over the project. Now, during inspection tour of the renovated complex, he said it was important for engineers at the various assemblies to monitor projects executed by contractors to ensure that they met specifications till completion. And
let me just give another final economic story. Government plans to redesign the e-levy comprehensively. This also came through over the weekend. Government has unveiled plans for a substantial overhaul of the electronic levy transfer as part of its medium-term revenue strategy. This move signifies a dedicated effort to revamp and optimize this taxation policy for greater efficiency. Now, this is a very unpopular tax. In 2022 May, it was introduced. The levy was structured at 1.5% charge on all electronic and mobile transactions over 100 cedis per day. In January this year, the government reduced the rates to 1%. But we are now told the government is saying that they will look at a broader strategy to modernize revenue collection and they would redesign the e-levy. We don't have the full details of the redesign, but it's important to see that this is an admission that the e-levy in its current form is not working.
Please indulge me. Let me just add one tax-related story. The Inquisitor has a story on page 3. Issue tax waivers and clear antiretroviral drugs at post. This is coming in from the minority, and they are telling government. Now, the story basically says the minority in parliament has asked the government to, as a matter of urgency, issue the necessary tax exemption to ensure the immediate clearance of antiretroviral drugs and other medical equipment and consumables currently at the country.
So there's a bit of confusion there because the Ministry of Health is denying that it was negligent. The minority is basically saying that they did not clear the goods on time because of some port charges. And the Ministry of Health says they'll clear the products by 13th October. But are denying the reason the minority gave. Be that as it may, HIV or people living with HIV need the antiretrovirals. So they should be cleared as soon as possible.
Yes, and the Ghana Revenue Authority on page 3 of their public press also that they have backed 15 million Ghana cedis from taxes on betting.
Okay.
I'll take you to page 9 of the same paper where the Education Minister is giving an update on the results of the standardized test that they took.
I need that one. I also need the story about the girls being abused in SHS.
Okay. So let me tell you about the education, the exam scores first. According to Education Minister Dr. Yawase Duchim, purposely trained leaders who prioritize improving learning outcomes should be encouraged. He believes Ghana's system should shift away from relying on leaders produced through apprenticeship. looking at the woeful reading skills of primary 2 pupils. Addressing the launch of the National Education Leadership Institute in Takoradi, Dr. Duchum cited a 2022 study by the National Standardized Test that revealed the alarming reading difficulties among primary 2 students. He pointed out that in 2015, only 2% of primary 2 students could read, and despite some improvement in 2022, with 38% of students showing the ability to read, the remaining 62% unable to read was still cause for concern. I would deal with this matter later.
Yeah, this is very serious. Now, stay with education. There was a story about teenagers
Exactly.
in SHSs.
Yeah, that story is in the Finder newspaper, page 5, has the details. 52% of females in senior high school assaulted sexually in 2 years. Now, the story says a report by the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, and the Girls Excellent Movement, GEM, on sexual harassment in senior high schools says 51.9% of female students were sexually assaulted between 2019 and 2021. And the report, titled Sheltered Yet Exposed, said 54.3% of those girls were between the ages of 17 and 22, while 45.7% were in the 11 and 16 age brackets. Now, it said the act was unusually perpetrated by friends, family friends, schoolmates, teachers, and strangers. Can you imagine? Now, teachers and strangers. Friends topped the chart with 24%. Family friends, 12%. Schoolmates, 12%. Teachers, 10%. And strangers, 9%. If you're a parent, please grab a copy of this paper.
Yeah, it's very troubling. So, on the educational side, the issue of class 2 pupils not being able to read, SHS 1 and 2 girls being abused, both negative, but it's a good one.
Yes, on page 10 of the Republic Press, in a stunning and heartwarming victory, Jikunu Nelson Armstrong.
Yep.
I like the way they have arranged the names, like a typical Prempe boy. Jikunu Nelson Armstrong.
They put your surname first.
Yes, Jikunu Nelson Armstrong. A student at Jaya International School in Ashaiman has been crowned the winner of the 2023 edition of the highly esteemed CCTV CTFM, the Literacy Challenge. The triumphant young master replaced Samuel Kwekuja and Figariba of the D&D Academy in Kumasi as the reigning champion of the prestigious contest for junior high school students. As the new champion, Master Jikunu not only basked the glory of his achievement, but also walked away with a cash prize of 10,000 Ghana cedis, an impressive trophy,
Yes.
a 6-month supply of Webby Crunchy biscuits, and an assortment. Ribby. The elation,
chop boxes,
yes,
trunks, everything.
Everything to go to school. And there's a very nice photo of the young man and his family and his teachers with Aloski wearing his Chemama suit.
Yes.
I was there and it was very impressive. I think
congratulations,
the
young
top
man.
10 did very well. It was a grueling quiz competition.
Yep.
David Kwekusechi, who did biochemistry in the university, was the quiz master. And I told him that his science in university did not come to waste. It was quite brilliant. It was a very good program. Now, next government must take review of our constitution seriously. Toby Apede. Now, over the weekend,
the
Teza Agbogbo Mafia of Asogli, Toby Apede, the 14th, he did a big event, a debut of the 2023 Asogli Yam Festival, or the Teza as you called it. And he said the current constitution had granted an overly biased scale of power to the executive, and that power needs to be reviewed.
Okay.
And he basically said that the over-concentration of power at the presidency affected the resolve to fight corruption. Then he admonished the next government, just like the Mills government did, to take seriously the review of our constitution. He also spoke about weakening institutions, including the security services and the judiciary, as well as the constitutional powers that continue to suffer abuse. All right. Very beautiful program that happened in Hona. I wanted to add the judges, the charge by the priest to the judges.
Okay.
To add to this point.
Yep.
Anglican bishop calls for fairness in justice delivery as he leads a mass to marking the new legal year. So this is a story that is quoting the Anglican Bishop of Cape Coast, the Right Reverend Dr. Victor Reginald Atabafo, who has called for fairness in the process of justice delivery across the country during a special church service marking the opening of the 66th legal year. The service was held at the Cathedral Church of the Most Holy Trinity in Accra on Saturday, October 7, on the theme Building the Pillars of Justice. He emphasized the importance of upholding justice in accordance with scriptural values. I'm quite enamored when I hear priests who use national platforms to address important social issues. And look how it says, the level of justice you show unambiguously determines and describes your level of relationship with God. Remember, it is not the prayers and fastings or the speaking in tongues that builds justice. It's about what you do for the disadvantaged. Bohobium, Bishop Atabafo.
Thank you.
And there were judges that they were wearing their collar, they were looking at him, and he was firing. Very good work done.
Oh boy, chiefly they take the sermon to heart. Well, let me give you two quick updates, Bernard. On page 23 of the Daily Graphic, there's an update on the 93-year-old Sandema Hospital, which is in a very deplorable state, according to Gilbert Mauli. I agree, you can catch the newspaper on that one. And then on page 40 of the same paper, over 97% of heart disease patients cannot pay for surgery. And a final one, Dr. Baumia looks like now Kumasi is his base.
He's 60 years old.
Yes, he went to celebrate
Happy
it at
birthday to
the
him.
Kumasi Children's Home. So, yeah, still based in Kumasi, doing his own thing there.
Now, I wanted Sky to touch finally on the Finder's front page before I go international.
Yes.
So that story basically is talking about the number of children dying on our streets. Looks like the streets are very bloody these days. Road crashes kill 6,152 children. Now, Christabel Oboshi Annan and Zinatu Abubakar reporting from right here in Accra say that some 6,152 children lost their lives in road traffic crashes in 20 years. Now, this represents 15% of all deaths recorded on the roads during the last 20 years. Now, the period spanned January 2021 to December 2021. This cannot be acceptable.
A lot of trouble in the world.
Oh my God.
Israel
So
is
sorry.
pounding Gaza,
Oh, my word.
battling Hamas raiders after a bloody incursion. This is Reuters' front page story. The Israeli military on Monday said it struck hundreds of Hamas and Islamic jihadi targets in the Gaza Strip overnight and had sent 4 combat divisions south, where it had been attacked earlier. The BBC also leads with that story. The angle I want to bring you is the effect of this on oil. Oil jumps as Middle East strike shakes markets. A look at the day ahead in European and global markets shows that oil prices gained by as much as 5% for Brent and US crude. This is still Reuters reporting. And then they also report that attack on Israel, it's quite fascinating, boosts appeal of gold and safe haven assets. So for those who want to do the connection between conflict and economics, the violence in Israel that erupted this weekend is prompting a move into safe haven assets as investors closely watch events in the Middle East to gauge the geopolitical risk to markets. Now, why am I bringing these two things in? Ghana's top 3 exports are gold, oil, and cocoa. So if people are moving into gold, gold prices will appreciate. That benefits us. If people are concerned about supply of oil, oil prices go up. But that's double-edged because whilst we benefit from crude, we buy finished products. So if you look at the challenges at Tor, if Tor had been resolved, when oil prices go up, you will get more money from your sale of your crude, and you can then decide that if the prices are too high in terms of finished product, you refine your product here and keep the prices down. So Russia-Ukraine is not over.
Sudan is also creating its own problems.
Oh, and then there's another one. I don't want to worry you this morning, but the world is going through things. So there's an arms race in Asia too.
Over Taiwan, I'm sure.
Charlie. So inside Asia's arms race, China near breakthrough with nuclear armed submarines, according to a report.
Meanwhile, billions of people are hungry. They can't find food to eat. You won't spend money to go and feed them.
They are
Every
fighting.
time, stupid wars here and there. Huh?
And then there's another one to help you. Africa is the front and center at IMF as US-China rivalry heats up. So they're analyzing what the Bretton Woods institutions and China are doing. So this week, after our IMF announcement, we are going to have a deal with our bilateral creditors. Let's hope that they cooperate.
Oh, they will. They will.
In the meantime, Alex Apenyo Making says we should come to his constituency and invest.
Is that where Sharm el Sheikh happened?
Charlie, brutally. Everything is happening there.
They need to dualize the road. Thank you, Godfrey. They need to dualize the road.